Welcome to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist.
Hello, champion. I am super excited to have you join us on Becoming the Peak Performer with your world-class performance strategist, Dr. Abiola Salami. The Peak Performer is a platform where African industry leaders, culture shapers, and game changers gain insights to achieve peak performance in their space. On this show, we provide leaders with insights to grow their profits, to improve operational efficiency, and retain their customers, employees, and investors, while also providing every professional with insights to grow their careers. Also, we spotlight and celebrate credible leaders with admirable skills through our awards and recognition, and these leaders we've celebrated over time will be hosting them on this show to hear their story. We have curated Becoming the Peak Performer as a platform where we discuss the big issues career professionals and business leaders in Africa are facing, with the overall goal of providing practical solutions to guide them onto recording consistent growth.
You are listening to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, a platform for inspiring an inclusive culture of peak performance in the African marketplace.
Becoming the Peak Performer. Take for the week.
8 strategies leaders and their teams can implement to maximize the new year for growth. Another new year, another round of resolutions, plans, and half-hearted promises. Let's not mince words. Most people will fail this year. They will set ambitious goals only to abandon them by February. They will talk about growth, but their actions will scream stagnation. Teams will start strong, motivated by the fresh start energy, only to slide back into mediocrity as soon as challenges arise. This doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be your team. But here's the cold, hard truth. If you want this year to count, you are going to have to do things differently. Growth, real, measurable, transformative growth requires an uncomfortable level of honesty, discipline, and sacrifice. And it starts with you. It starts by you taking personal responsibility for the results you want to record this year. Whether you're a leader guiding others or you're a team member working towards collective goals, this year is not about vague intentions. It is about brutal accountability, relentless execution, and leaving excuses behind. Now, if you are ready for this, let us look at the 8 strategies we are proposing. Number 1, own the brutal truth about where you are. Before you even think about setting goals, take an unfiltered look at where you stand individually and as a team. Stop glossing over weaknesses or blaming external factors for underperformance. Growth starts with owning your truth. As a leader, you can ask yourself, how effective was my leadership last year? Did I inspire my team, or did I micromanage them into frustration? Did I hold them accountable, or did I let things slide because confrontation felt uncomfortable? Did I model the behaviors I expect from my team? If I demand excellence, did I embody it? If I preach work-life balance, did I live it? What goals did we miss and why? Don't sugarcoat it. If you failed to hit targets, own it. Was the strategy flawed? Were expectations unclear? Was execution weak? Answer the questions as a leader and own it. As a team member, ask yourself, did I contribute my best last year? Did I show up fully engaged, or did I coast through meetings and tasks? Where did I waste time or resources? Be honest about distractions, inefficiencies, or procrastination. Am I an asset to this team, or am I just filling a seat? Are you indispensable, or could someone else easily replace you because your contributions are average at best? This self-assessment will sting. Good. Growth starts where excuses ends. So if you can't be honest about where you are, you'll never get to where you want to go. Strategy number 2, set goals that actually matter. Most people fail at goal setting because they chase the wrong goals. They focus on what sounds impressive rather than what actually moves the needle. Leaders and teams alike fall into this trap, setting vague or irrelevant targets that do little to drive meaningful progress for their organization. Leaders, set ruthless priorities. You can't lead your team effectively if you are chasing every shiny object. Pick 3 to 5 core objectives for the year that align with your organization's mission. These are not nice to haves, they are must haves. Ask yourself the following 3 questions. 1. What outcome will create the biggest impact for our team and our organization this year? 2. What goals align with our long-term vision, not just immediate needs? And 3. What challenges, if solved, will unlock exponential growth? Every initiative, meeting, and decision should ladder up to these priorities. If it doesn't, cut it. Now, for team members, ensure you align your goals with the team's mission. Your personal goals should contribute to the team's success. If they don't, you are working in a vacuum. So you want to ask yourself these 3 questions as a team member. 1. How can I add measurable value to the team this year? 2. What skills do I need to develop to become more effective in my role? And 3. What problems can I proactively solve for my team or my leader? When everyone's goals are aligned, teams move from chaos to cohesion. Strategy number 3. Commit to relentless execution. Setting goals is the easy part. The hard part, and where most people fail, is execution. This is where discipline separates the winners from the wannabes. If you are not willing to outwork, outlast, and outthink your competition, don't bother setting goals in the first place. Leaders, you must create a culture of accountability. As a leader, your team will take cues from you. If you tolerate mediocrity, that is what you will get. If you demand excellence and hold people accountable, they'll rise to the occasion. Here's what accountability looks like. 1. Setting clear expectations. Your team should know exactly what success looks like. Vague goals lead to vague results. 2. Measure progress relentlessly. Use KPIs, dashboards, or regular check-ins to track progress. What gets measured gets done. And 3. Address poor performance immediately. Don't wait for the quarterly reviews or the monthly reviews to confront issues. If someone is sleeping, call it out early and help them to course correct. Now, for team members, what you want to do as a team member is to take radical ownership. Stop waiting for your leader to hold your hand. If you are on a team, you owe it to everyone else to pull your weight and then some. Radical ownership means proactively communicating. So don't wait for your leader to ask for updates, anticipate their needs, and stay ahead of deadlines. Being radical, taking radical ownership, means solving problems, not just identifying them. Anyone can point out what is wrong. That is what analysts do. But you want to be the person that brings the solution. You are not just criticizing or analyzing the problem. You are bringing solutions. The world is seeking solution providers, not problem manufacturers or problem identifiers or excuse manufacturers, but solution providers. And to really take radical ownership, another thing you must do is to hold yourself to higher standards than anyone else. If you wouldn't be proud to sign your name to your work, then it means the work is not good enough. Strategy number 4, embrace discomfort. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. If your goals don't make you uncomfortable, they are not ambitious enough. Leaders and teams must learn to embrace discomfort as a necessary part of growth. Leaders, you should push your team beyond their limits. Great leaders don't let their team settle for good enough. They push them to achieve what feels impossible. Challenge your team to think bigger. Stop solving for incremental improvement. Ask, what will it take to 10x this? You want to create stretch assignments. Growth happens in the stretch zone, not the comfort zone. Assign projects that force your team to develop new skills or solve complex problems. And you want to model resilience. If you want your team to persevere through challenges, you have to show them how it is done. Stay calm under pressure and demonstrate grit in the face of setbacks. Now, for team members, you want to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The same goes for you. If you are not uncomfortable, you are not growing. This might mean volunteering for a high-stake project that scares you, seeking feedback that you know will sting, or developing skills outside your comfort zone. Discomfort is the price of progress. Be willing to pay it. Strategy number 5, eliminate what is holding you back. You see, you can't grow this year if you are dragging dead weight. That dead weight might be toxic relationships, outdated processes, bad habits, or limiting beliefs. Leaders and teams must have the courage to cut what is not working. As a leader, you must address the dead weight. If you are tolerating poor performance, you are doing a disservice to your team and your mission. So you want to be willing to have hard conversations. If someone is not meeting expectations, address it directly and constructively. Don't let the problems fester, and also don't knock down the team member. You want to be assertive in your engagement of this team member. Not aggressive, not passive, but assertive, which means you are firm dealing with the issue and you are friendly as well, understanding that the team member is a human being.
Becoming the peak performer. Take for the week.
You are listening to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, a platform for inspiring an inclusive culture of peak performance in the African marketplace.
Our special guest on this episode is a journalist with 23 years of experience in global newsrooms. Stephanie Busari is the pioneer and head of CNN's first digital and multi-platform bureau in Nigeria. She is an Emmy award-winning journalist and editor. Stephanie is a skilled and experienced newsroom leader who reports on air for CNN International and has a strong track record of delivering impactful journalism in multiple formats. Stephanie Busari.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm honored to say my sister and friend.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure having you here. Let us get straight into our conversation.
Okay.
From your experience in newsrooms across the globe, engaging leaders of business and government all across the globe, and your career, how would you define who a peak performer is?
A peak performer for me is someone who actually, kind of pursues excellence. Not just in their professional life, but tries to do that in a balanced way. They also try to pursue excellence in their personal life, and try to balance that. It's not about just being the best. It's about knowing that you're pushing yourself, because our capacities are different. But are you really performing at your optimum best? Are you making sure that you are utilizing all your talents, not just in cruise mode? Some people are lucky, they can be in cruise mode, and then their cruise mode is the equivalent of your running up the hill.
Yes.
But don't be in cruise mode when you know that you can exert a little bit more energy and perform even more optimally. So that's what a peak performer is.
Wow. Well, what I'm learning from you is peak performance is not secluded to one area of our lives. There is that balance and wholeness about peak performance. Now, from your work, what would you consider to be the 3 top skills that has helped you to consistently deliver peak performances 23 years as a journalist?
Yeah.
What 3 skills would you say has helped you to consistently deliver peak performance?
Well, gosh, journalism is one of those professions where you need a lot of kind of high energy. You need to be resilient. You need to be persistent. You hear no's a lot as a journalist, and you can't just be the person that hears the first no and then just gives up. You cannot give up. You must be dogged. We're quite dogged people. We kind of push. We push for answers. We push and push and push. And being adaptable. I moved to Lagos 8 years ago to run CNN's first digital multi-platform bureau. It was a pioneer role in an organization never been done before, and I was coming. They were like, okay, you're Nigerian, you know the terrain, but I'd not lived in Nigeria for 20 years plus. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll rise to the challenge. And I really wanted to come back home to report from here, to tell our stories. I'm passionate about that. And I came, I had a 5-year-old daughter. I was a solo parent at the time, and so it was just one of the most challenging things I've done, because I had to set up a bureau from scratch, recruit people, make sure that my daughter was settled and thriving, because I always said if she wasn't okay, then we would be on the first plane out of Lagos. But luckily 5-year-olds are pretty resilient too, and we made it work. We created a bureau where we won awards, where we pushed the envelope. We told groundbreaking stories, such as the Chibok girls, the NSARS story. We also did a story about a young lady who had recorded her professor who was asking her for sex to improve her grades. Monica Osagi, I don't know if you remember that, but that was also a groundbreaking story, because after her interview with us, he was prosecuted, and a rare prosecution. He was jailed for 3 years. I'm so glad that we were, myself, my daughter, my team were adaptable and resilient and persistent.
Yes.
We never gave up, because there were a few times I was just like questioning my sanity. why am I here? What am I doing? You know, I've left my comforts in the UK where I grew up and come to Nigeria where there's still so many challenges with infrastructure, with power and all of those things that we know very well. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the learning. I'm grateful for the experience. And by God's grace, we're still here. We're still pushing.
Still here.
Yeah.
Being adaptable, being resilient,
Yes.
being persistent. Those three key skills.
Yeah.
Those key skills. In your work, what would you say you have seen to be the things restricting people from delivering peak performance? I mean, apart from the usual complaints that people excuse that people give, the government should. What other things have you seen around that is restricting individuals from delivering peak performance?
I think when I look at, the people who are excelling abroad in companies, multinationals, a lot of them are Nigerians.
Yes.
And you think that's because they have an enabling environment. What we have here in a lot of sectors, in a lot of, industries, is people have limits. It's almost like working with one hand tied behind your back. You cannot provide your peak performance with such restrictions. And so our environment is not conducive to peak performance. Yet we managed to deliver.
Yes.
Not everybody, we know that. So that being said, skills. What I noticed when I was recruiting was a massive skills gap. There were not enough people who knew or who didn't know what they didn't know. You know?
That's a point.
That's it.
They are not aware of their ignorance.
No.
Yes.
It's not even ignorance. They just don't. Their lack of knowledge, because ignorance and lack of knowledge is different. They just did not know that there's steps, there's skills, there's things that they've never been taught because of poor access to education, poor access to opportunities, all of those things that we know are prevalent in our society. So, I always encourage my mentees to read as widely as you can. We are in the information age.
Yes.
Like, there's no excuse sometimes. Like, even if you don't know where to go and look, Google is your friend.
Yes.
There's a whole world out there at your fingertips.
Yes.
When I was starting out, all those 23 years ago, I used to do court reporting as part of my training. And so when you leave court, you have to go to the payphone, those red boxes, the payphones in the UK. You had to go and call what they call the copy desk and then report to them down the phone what happened in court. And they're taking it down.
They're typing
it. And that's you telling them your story. Now, you can type it on your phone. In an instant. And so, there's so many opportunities now that we never had when I was starting out as a journalist that you have to grab. Don't wait for someone to come and give you everything on a platter. You must demonstrate your interest. So, I would say there's a lot of things that we're missing here that are structural, systemic, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we're encouraging, as someone I know, you mentor a lot of people, encourage them to seek the knowledge that they don't even know that they don't know. We all have blind spots.
Yes.
Seek out your blind spots. If you have to ask people, don't ask your enemies. Don't ask your enemies because then they'll make you feel bad about yourself. But ask people you trust. What are my blind spots? And that enables you to evolve and be a better person.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I've heard from you is that while there are structural issues, there's also need to take personal responsibility for our growth and make yourself quite attractive in the marketplace or to the opportunities that you are seeking.
And you know what I really love about Gen Z? I actually believe that Gen Z are going to save us.
Now she's talking about us right now, Gen Z.
Gen Z are going to save us because I love the attitude that is quite revolutionary. I feel like they're just always ready to grab and fight and demand their rights, which is great. We're seeing that in Kenya at the moment. We saw that with NSARS. We saw that with Roads Must Fall before that. So I really love the revolutionary spirit. I love the way that they're leveraging the social media platforms, you know, to create their own empires, like with content creation, the skits, all of that stuff. It's brilliant.
Yes, it is.
It's brilliant. It's unprecedented. But, you know, it does make them sometimes come across quite arrogant. But we won't talk about that. That's a conversation for another day. Yeah.
So, congratulations on your Emmy Award.
Thank you.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Now, I know that you've won many awards before your TPP recognition. By the way, Stephanie Busari is a double honoree on the Peak Performer platform. She won in the category of TPP 100 in 2023.
Yes.
She also won in another category of the Peak Performing Woman of the Year 2023. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I was so thrilled.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It is our own appreciation of the excellent work that you are doing.
Thank you.
Before your double award on the TPP platform, you have won many awards. After that, you have also won many awards. We would like to know, what makes your TPP recognition, what makes it a special one to you?
Well, so for me, it's very special because you're in illustrious company. I mean, like Lady Maiden Ebru.
Yes.
You know, she's a powerhouse in the media. 40 years in the publishing industry. That's not an easy feat. And so to be in the same company with someone like her and so many other amazing winners, men and women.
Yes.
I feel honored. I feel honored. It's a platform that, you know, supports excellence, that, you know, rewards and recognizes excellence. So it's really great to have that recognition. And also, you know, just being in the same kind of like platform with these people, it encourages you to be better, to do better, because you're seeing your peers and how they are performing, and it really encourages you to strive. So my hat's off to you. Well done for creating such an illustrious platform.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, still speaking about the platform. Yes, we spotlight credible leaders. We provide insights to support leaders like you, also emerging leaders and women also generally, to continue to deliver excellence in the work that they do. Why do you think more people should pay attention to what we're doing on the Peak Performer platform? More people in Nigeria, more people in Africa, more people across the globe. Or why should they pay attention to what we're doing?
Yeah, you know, I think it's really about the connections. It's about bringing people who are performing at the height of their careers together. It's about excellence. That word keeps coming back. You know, it obviously is about peak performance. You know, these are people who are at the top of their game.
Yes.
So that definitely deserves to pay attention to. You know, be it conference organizers. These are good crop of potential speakers.
Yes.
You know, like, or potential partners for collaboration. You know, I was speaking to Lady Maiden earlier, and I definitely want to see how we can collaborate, because the experience, the wealth of experience that she has had. You know, I'm 23 years in the game. I still need mentors that will help me to get to my next level. So I really appreciate, you know, that kind of like bringing together of great minds.
Great. So now, a few years ago, we had the privilege of hosting you and some other amazing leaders on a platform where we launched the book, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence.
Oh yes. I remember very well.
Yeah, that's some years ago now.
Yes.
I would just like you to reflect for a few minutes, you know, why you think leaders should pay attention to mastering emotional intelligence.
Wow, I mean, it's critical. It's critical. It's actually one of the key skills that any leader should have. Because you could be the best leader in the world, but if you don't know how to relate to your employees, to empathize with them, to see the human side, work is not just about performance. Work is about the holistic kind of person, the mind, body, and soul. You know, if something is not okay with them emotionally, they're not going to give you their best performance. So as a leader, you need to know how to spot the signs. You need to know how to speak to your employee that in a way that they will respond, even if they've done something wrong. You know, I've always read about the sandwich method, where, you know, like when you're giving feedback, that's emotional intelligence. knowing that is emotional intelligence. Not just like launching straight into, oh, why did you do this terrible thing? You're nonsense, you're whatever. You know, a lot of people think that being a good leader is by being hard unnecessarily. But the sandwich method is actually a really lovely way to say, oh, well, I've noticed that you've done really great in this area, and you know, I'm really happy with this, but I see room for improvement here. You're sandwiching it there with the, you know, the negative, and then you end with a positive. So it's a nice kind of feedback sandwich. You know, I love things like that, and I read a lot as a leader about emotional intelligence because as a parent, you need emotional intelligence because we're raising children of different generations. So I think it's a skill that every leader must invest in and read about. If you don't have it, not everybody does. Some people are just completely like, no, this is how I am. I tell it as it is. And it's like, okay, sometimes you might want to be a bit more diplomatic or a bit more tactful in the way you approach a subject or your employee. So I really encourage everyone to please read about emotional intelligence. He has an amazing book out on this. So please go and learn. If you don't know it, go and learn.
Oh, well. Absolutely. Now, how we want to seal up this conversation we're having today is by asking you a critical question.
Okay.
We've talked about work. Amazing contribution you're making in your space, awards that you have received on it. But do you have fun at all? How do you relax? You know, what's your relaxation routine? You know, how do you catch fun?
Well, so I mean, gosh, you know, just like any other normal human being, I love to hang out with my friends. I was just in New Orleans for the first time.
Oh, great.
I love to travel, and New Orleans is like one of my bucket list countries. And I was ecstatic to be there. It's such a party city, and my friends I was with were just like, we're seeing a different side to Stephanie on this trip. You know, we went clubbing, we went to concerts. We did so much. The food, the vibe, it's really amazing. So travel is a big part. And then, you know, because I do a lot, I like to do nothing. I like to just slow the pace down, put the phone on airplane mode, and just hang out with my family. You know, I have 2 daughters, and sometimes we cook, we learn new recipes, and we cook together. I like to swim, I like to dance badly, but I do it. I do. I'm the first to admit it's not
okay.
great.
Just
but,
move.
You can't be good at everything.
Yeah, just move. Rhythm, forget the rhythm.
Exactly.
Just move.
Just do it.
Okay.
Dancing brings me a lot of joy, so I like to do it. And then hang out with my husband.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
Shout out to you.
shout out to my husband.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's just like you, really, just like everyone hosting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Fantastic. Stephanie Busari, thank you very, very much for your time today.
Thank you.
You are listening to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, a platform for inspiring an inclusive culture of peak performance in the African marketplace. You have been listening to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist. Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami is a platform for inspiring an inclusive culture of peak performance in the African marketplace. For more resources, visit www.tppafrica.com and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at TPP Africa and on Twitter at TPP_Africa.